So TJ, we've been here at PAX East 2022, and wow, that's such a weird feeling because it's been 2 years since the last one. But anyway, we've been checking out a bunch of games and wandering the show and doing a lot here in the first PAX East in a couple years. So we thought we'd sit down and actually talk about our experience these last few days. I'm still shocked it's been 2 years. How do you feel that we're actually back at PAX again?
It feels kind of nice. It's definitely been a massive change in pace.
Mm-hmm.
The whole inside for basically 2 years to actually in like a convention level setting. It's a huge contrast. But it's been really nice to be able to get out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been really nice to have this back. I mean, I know you and I both like going to conventions in general, so having this again, it's just a good feeling. But PAX feels a little different this year, honestly, because a lot of the big companies just aren't there. Like, there's no Nintendo, there's no Square Enix, and there's just a lot of indies, which is actually really good and really cool, because it gives them the spotlight they deserve. But then, on the other hand, there's Intel with, like, I swear, it's like at least 4 to 6 booths worth of space.
They have a lot of space.
And they don't know what to do with it. I mean, they have a DDR set up there for some reason. And, like, take pictures with the robot. Like, it's interesting. But it kind of shows that there's a lot of extra space this time. But I kind of like that. I mean, we can walk around PAX and not feel like we have to, like, weave through the crowds. Even when Saturday, the most crowded day, it still felt very manageable to move around and find a space on the show floor to, like, get a breather or take pictures with cosplayers if need be. Like, you didn't need to, like, really move out of the way so much because it's still crowded. And Saturday sold out ticket-wise. Definitely not as crowded as previous years. And I'm sure that's in part because, you know, Nintendo and other big names didn't go. And I know there probably weren't as many, like, big name, like, content creator guests and things like that, too.
I'm sure there weren't as many booths in general, either.
Yeah.
They definitely cut down on that, which just gives space in general, because it's not being taken up by more booths, games, and sellers, distributors, whatever.
Yeah, I've noticed there's been a lot of those. There's been a lot more, shops this time around, or at least maybe we've been frequenting them more this time. So let's get a little bit into day-by-day breakdowns. So starting off with Thursday, first day of PAX, usually pretty exciting, but also a bit more low-key, a lot less people on that first day. I mean, it's Thursday, middle of the week. This day for us was kind of mostly checking out what was there. Like, we didn't really heavily go in and play a whole bunch of things that first day. I mean, there were panels we wanted to go to, there was other events going on too, people to catch up with that we haven't seen in years because of the pandemic, and it was just kind of a cozy start to it all, honestly. Now I say that, but you actually got to check out some games that first day. You made it into the Tiny Build booth, which at the time of this recording I have not had a chance to actually go and do at all, because ever since that day, it's been like a 2 to 3 hour wait to get in.
It's been pretty rough, yeah. I thankfully, because Thursday was a bit more low-key, I did notice that some of the lines were a bit more diluted. Like you mentioned, when I went to the Tiny Build booth, I got a chance to, like, play Ramen again, and it looks really fun. It looks really good. I know it's been, like, 2 years since the last convention, which they showed it then, and we haven't really heard much since, but it definitely looks a lot better even, so that's nice to see.
It definitely looks like one of the big highlights. I mean, Tiny Build is like, they were like right in the middle of the show floor. They had the giant inflatable spider from Spider Heck, so it's impossible to miss them. But Ramen is also like their other really big advertised game there. Like, I think that, like, the central part of their booth just has, like, posters and, like, images and everything for Ramen on it. So it's their big advertised game, and I'm pretty sure it was a huge hit at PAX 2 years ago. But I mean, I think you played it back then too, right?
Yeah.
So, because I never got to experience it back then, and I haven't had a chance to play it here. How would you sell the game to someone that didn't get a chance to stand in line to play it?
I mean, it's a lot of fun. It's like a super silly shooter.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, it moves pretty quick. So like you got like a nice, like, I don't want to say sprint, but I guess it's more like the Inkling swimming, but you kind of just like slide around on broth instead of swimming through ink. But it's a lot of fun, like in that sense where it's a lot more fast paced. It's pretty quick and easy to knock people out, but it doesn't take much time to bring you back in, so you're kind of like always in the action. Mm-hmm. Compared to even last time, they have like a lot. I think they had 6 maps on the show floor, and I think when I was talking with the guy, he said they had like another map that they were gonna push, and they had like 4 game modes, and I think one more that was gonna come after.
Wow.
And that's just like what they have on the show floor. I assume they have more like in the back end to work with. So there's definitely a lot going on, and it's a lot of fun. There's a whole like extra level of it too, because like you can like guard from shots as well as like set up little cracker walls to protect against people's attacks and stuff.
Man, every time I hear about ramen, I'm just like, I need to play it. It's themed so well. It's the same kind of theming of Min Min and ARMS. I love that like silly food theming to it, but they're taking it a lot further in this case. And yeah, I definitely need to make sure I check out this game. It's one that I meant to keep an eye on after the original PAX, but then, world events kind of made me forget about it. But seeing it back here in all its glory is really exciting. So, other things that happened Thursday, there was a local, like kind of after the convention center itself, or the show floor specifically closed for the day, some of like the local indies in Boston put together this, I guess the best way to put it is party, called the Maiden Mass Party. And TJ, you and I went to that a few times in college. Not to get into that super heavily in the discussion, but basically we were familiar with the people that ran this kind of event and the indie games that would kind of be there and the developers that would be there. So we decided we were going to check it out, first time in a few years, and actually, see what it's been like now, catch up with people. And it was a bit tough, it was crowded, but I want to specifically spotlight a game here made by a friend that it's just a blast to play, and it's free to play, Last Slice. Going more into food-themed games, I guess.
You can tell we haven't had dinner yet. The others are picking it up now.
That is true. Yeah, so it's this like funny like couch multiplayer. I want to say brawler, but it's kind of not really a brawler.
Well, it's a lot like Hotline Miami.
Yes,
it's pretty much Hotline Miami, but like as like a multiplayer duck game. Like
you were fighting over the last pizza slice.
But there is also from what we saw last time, there's like a single player to it now as well. So
yes, it's a fun thing. We learned that day the game is also like available and free and whatnot, so that was exciting to learn. But that was the only one who really got to check out there. But it was a good feeling to be able to go and support local indies and like get to check them out. And that's something I mentioned earlier too, that like this PAX specifically is actually really beneficial to that, because we don't have the huge companies here to take all the lines for an entire day. All the indies get it. And when the bigger indies get that line, people will deviate to the smaller indies. And it's really nice seeing all that attention kind of pop up. So let's move into Friday. Because Friday is when we actually had more appointments and we got to sit down and really play some games. And Friday started off for us with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. So we already have our gameplay video that went up for this. This was so much fun. Like, I don't know much about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles personally. I didn't grow up watching a lot of the stuff, but I could feel how much charm was put into this. Every single animation has so much more to it than I was expecting. There's so much personality in all the characters, and everything they do just feels... It has that perfect, like, arcade, 2D arcade kind of side-scrolling fighter, brawler, or beat-em-up, I guess is the best way to put it. It has that perfect feel to it, with that modern flair of now we can put lots of love into the animation. And it just looks good. Like, I know you couldn't get over how good the visuals looked for it.
Like, it does. It looks really good. I know the guy he was mentioning a lot, like, how they really went above and beyond, how they wanted to make sure everything was so much more fun. They, like, changed the spawns so that they make more sense with the background as opposed to just dudes jumping in. They added more background, so there was a whole lot more to just experience in it. And that's not even just, like, making sure each of the turtles themselves felt uniquely different in their animation, so they didn't feel like they were just like recolors of each other.
Yeah, I remember he was bringing that up, and that really stuck out to me. Definitely, the turtles, because, you know, I mean, they each had different weapons, so I kind of assumed they already feel different enough from each other, but the fact that each of the enemies, they're not just jumping in or walking in through doors. I mean, they were lifting weights, they were doing yoga, they were cooking on the cooking show.
Trapped inside a trash bag.
Trapped inside a trash bag. Like, they were doing a bunch of different things that made it feel like you're actually in that environment, fighting them. It's not just a random backdrop. And that made it feel really fun and immersive, honestly. Sure, running around as April O'Neil, hitting them with, like, a microphone and whatnot was silly as well, but oh god, this game is just so charming, and I can't wait to see more from it.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of fun.
So our next appointment, or big game that we got to check out on Friday, was over at Devolver Digital. Now, we were supposed to check out Cult of the Lamb, but the Devolver booth was set up kind of like an arcade, which was really, really cool. But there wasn't a lot of room for, like, recordings and getting a lot of people in there. So, unfortunately, we didn't have, like, our appointment to really check out Cult of the Lamb. And Cult of the Lamb consistently had, like, a 3 to 4 hour wait to be able to play it. So, that was not something we got to do. But we are going to be checking that out separate from PAX soon enough, we were told. But what we did get to check out from Devolver Digital was Demon Throttle. This is basically a arcade bullet hell, and this was so silly, but TJ and I here got to play that in co-op, which we don't get to do a lot for this kind of thing, and we did pretty good. We made it to the end. I'm a little surprised.
We didn't get a chance to see the special ending because we missed some of the secrets, but we definitely did get to the end. It was a lot of fun.
It was a really fun bullet hell that from the very first moment I saw the game, the visuals to it kind of reminded me of, like, Game Boy Color styled graphics, especially like Link's Awakening or such, from that style of, like, top-down graphics and the colors. And it already caught my attention from the art style, but the gameplay was really fun and it was pretty intuitive. But obviously, Devolver Digital, the game, to put it lightly, the game's not really appropriate for children, so...
It has definitely a couple raunchy jokes. It has a lot of fun with it, but...
I mean, even the main setup to the game, I mean, just from that alone, which I'm pretty sure has already been in trailers too, it's a, like, 2 to 3,000 year old vampire girl and a cowboy who wants to beat up the demon that kissed his wife. Like, it's pretty silly. But did you have any personal highlights from Friday?
Yeah, actually, I did have one thing. We ended up taking a stop by Brace Yourself Games, and I got a chance to check out Phantom Brigade, their new RTS tactics mech game. Honestly, it looked really cool, and I got a chance to, like, really play around with the game, and it's really in depth. Like, it was definitely a lot at first to take in when playing it, but it's like one of those, there's so many intricacies to it that, like, the systems feel really, really well designed, and really, you can really take advantage of, like, everything that's going on. I even got, like, a chance to talk to him, and he was talking about how, like, even all of your characters can be customized in all like the smallest details, so you could basically mix and match whatever playstyles you want into all of your units. Really like just how much extra you could change and optimize. So it seemed like a lot of fun, and I can't wait to see like all the extra customization and details that they actually put into the game.
Didn't they also say that the way the plot or the adventure plays out depends on how you actually win or lose the battles?
Yeah. So they were talking because like it's a big war fought on a global scale. So they actually like, instead of like getting railroaded, like you would with like a Fire Emblem game or even like Advanced Wars from chapter to chapter, instead you get like the map of the entire world, and then you plan out your actions, and you go to like certain areas and see if you can evade enemy sights or flank, or just do like a head-on assault. But depending on like the choices you make depend on ending up where you like the combat you end up in, and how the war happens and goes.
This takes tactics as a definition to a whole new level. No, it looks really interesting. Like, it's clearly not just a cookie-cutter tactics game, and that's really fascinating. But I definitely would need to like take my time checking that out, because I was watching you go through and I got lost like 3 menus in from you. There was so much going on, and that's not a bad thing. It is just, wow, I need a lot more time than you do to digest that information, I guess. I mean, you have a lot of experience with tactics games, so I'm sure a lot of it kind of started to come naturally to you as things clicked. Anyway, now moving on, let's get into the busiest day of PAX, the one that always sells out, and sold out this time too, Saturday. So Saturday was another big day for us, getting to check out a bunch of games, which is, you know, always a great feeling. And this time, it was actually pretty literal with checking out a bunch. We had a pretty big appointment with Thunderful. So we got to check out Curse to Golf, Lego Bricktales, which unfortunately we weren't allowed to record any footage for, and is it Togies? Togs?
I think it's Togies.
Togies? Okay, so we'll go through these in order here. I just wanted to break down. Those are the 3 we got to check out at Thunderful. We might be able to check out some other ones, but at the time of recording, those are the ones that we got to check out now. So, Curse to Golf by Chuhai Labs. This game is so charming. I know we already have like a Game & Watch, and we've already covered this game a little bit earlier on, a little while back, but I am sold on this game. From the demo, I mean, I want to say like 2D platformer roguelike golf game, and I'm already raising an eyebrow like, oh, that's interesting. Like, you know, that's not what you would expect. And this game is so clever. Just the gameplay loop to it alone was really satisfying. And sure, I only played the first couple of levels to it, but it was really satisfying, and I got hooked, and the strategy paying off was really rewarding. And yeah, I mean, I was sold on that pretty quick. We had, I believe Liam Edwards is his name. We had him, like one of the main developers of the game, sitting there talking with us as we played through it, and added to the experience a lot, honestly, because you could really see like how much he loves this game that he's working on, and I love that about PAX, like getting that.
He was so energetic.
Like you were mentioning too with a bunch of the other games we talked about too, like getting to talk with the developers as we played it, and that really is one of the highlights of PAX and these kinds of events. But yeah, Curse to Golf looks so charming, really fun to play, and I'm excited for more of that. So moving then into our second game at Thunderful, Lego Bricktales. I never realized just how literal a Lego game can get.
Yeah.
This game is not like the more recent like Lego Star Wars, for example, where there's all this like animated comedy and charm and extra level of animations and fun like quick level building. This is the slow, like, you're pulling out a Lego set and you're building it right here kind of game. And it's very peaceful. This is a game that I think it's a little hard to enjoy it in a PAX setting, at least personally, because, like, everything around you is kind of noisy. There's a lot going on. You're kind of in that mindset of things got to be quick because you have other things you want or need to check out. But I can see this being a really satisfying game to just, like, sit in a room, lights off, like tea, and just like play it for like tranquil for like 3 hours. at a time and just like solve puzzles the way you want to, and these like physics puzzles, you know, build the bridge or the helicopter like the way you think will best work. And it was satisfying anytime I built something my way and it worked out. But it is definitely a slower paced game because it is you physically building the Legos, not walks up to batch of bouncing Legos and press the button for the character to build it. But I'm definitely curious to check out more of it. Like, I played enough that I'm curious just how difficult some of these puzzles will get. Because, oh man, those will start to take me a while.
Not to mention how in depth. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you notice from like the start, some things were quicker, like smaller scale, and you kind of saw the scale grow really big, pretty quick, honestly. And
Yeah.
even if the helicopter wasn't like a big thing or whatever, I mean, Lego sets themselves become huge things, and I'm sure the game will take that to some literal extent on its own, even if it's just like extra levels at the end.
Or something like that. Yeah, and it's kind of exciting because we don't really get Lego games like this. They're all more like the Lego Star Wars style usually, where
Yeah, like a Lego visual universe art style,
Yeah.
or whatever.
But this is really, we're gonna take actual Legos and make it a game, and I'm excited to see more of it, honestly. Final game from Thunderful, I'm gonna let you talk all about because you got to play this one, and that's Toge's, and I still feel like I'm saying that wrong every time.
I don't know what to tell you on the name. I mean, Toge's at least sounds right, but I digress. It's a fun game. It definitely kind of just drops you in. But it's really cute. It's got like a really fun art style, and you kind of like you're solving puzzles with like by spawning a bunch of Toge's is what they were called. They're the little like these cubes in different colors. And it's cool because like you get to like spawn them, and you can use them as like maybe not a bridge, but like as like you can stack them to make platforms and sort of like drag them around the terrain and stuff. But there is also like one part later where you could like put a bunch into a bird, and then it like built a temporary bridge. Sort of like the main goal, I guess. It definitely felt rather calming and chill because the goal was kind of just to like get to these fruit. There was no like pressure to get to them. You just kind of like you got there. You took it in your own time. You kind of just enjoyed yourself, went at your own pace. And then as you go, like you get the fruit, and it'll give you like different colored Toge's, which have like different effects, which helps because then you can like solve other problems. And that was really cool to sort of see like all the different Toge's and how maybe they can each interact in a different way. So it kind of shows, because I didn't get to see like all the colors or all like the problems, but it sort of helps show like where the game can definitely go with all the extra tools, and then the problems they can make as a result of those tools.
As weird as it sounds, it kind of reminds me of Pikmin. It's just the idea of you're solving puzzles with lots of little things. And I'm sure that's probably the only way to relate. But that's something that kept popping up in my head, even though in terms of execution it's probably like really not close.
I mean, in terms of execution, it's way different.
Yeah,
but
it's something that kept popping up in my head. Yeah, but it definitely seems interesting. And this one was a lot quicker of a demo too compared to the other two here. So I'm wondering how long of a full game it'll be.
Yeah, it definitely seems like the kind of game that the length definitely will be dictated by your pace. I mean, as is with any puzzle solving game, because if you know the answer to all the puzzles, you just do them and go. But kind of like that free form, maybe like Zelda 1-ish idea, and the fact that it's open, so you kind of just figure it out as you go. Or at least in the demo it seemed like that. Maybe they have a different pacing to it for the actual game.
Yeah.
But at least for what the demo showed, it was kind of just that free form. You have fun, you figure it out, you kind of go as you can.
Yeah. I mean, It definitely looked charming though, like from the get-go. Like even the art for it, like the title screen, like the art right above the demo. So it was so attention grabbing, and it's so charming. So it had that like visual hook right away, at least. So another game we got to check out, moving out of Thunderful and into another game we got to check out here, was Melon Journey 2, or more specifically, Melon Journey Bittersweet Memories. And this was a really cute game, and every time I'm trying to figure out how to describe my feeling on the art style, and it's like, melon. It's like, well, yes, it was the color of melon, but it's like original Game Boy colors, but it feels more charming than that. Like it doesn't feel like they're just trying to emulate like the original Game Boy look. Like everything about this game is about the main character, Honeydew, and it just feels like they're going for a visual color of melon. But it's a cute, charming 2D game that, kind of like some other things I mentioned here, it felt a little slow for the PAX show floor, but that doesn't mean I wasn't interested. I was definitely having a good time exploring and checking out what was going on in this town, and the crimes going on here, and the trade of melon seeds. But I also kept constantly feeling like either the demo was gonna time out, or I was holding up people in line that wanted to play it. So I kept wanting to go talk to every NPC, but being like, maybe one more, but I shouldn't talk to more than that. So I was a little worried I missed some stuff in the demo, but it's a charming little world. And I don't mean that in the same sense of how I've described other things thus far of charming. We're like, oh, that's really cool, that's really cute. Some of these characters are just outright rude to each other. But some of them are also really funny. Like, it does that thing that I like that very few Zelda games do, where you walk in a house and they're like, why are you in my house? And that kept happening. Like, there's this one house you walk into, and there's like a big screen, and then there's someone like on a couch nearby. And you walk in front, and they're just like, dude, I'm trying to play this game here. And then when you keep trying to talk to him, he's talking to Twitch chat. And as you annoy him enough, he's just like, oh, you're right, chat. It's time for a milk break. And he starts like jugging milk, and you can't talk to him again. And it's just this weird sense that establishes a lot of character, actually. But oh man, is this world interesting. And there's also this election going on between either electing the current mayor or a new one. And they both sound pretty bad. This town needs some work. There were some good lines in Melon Journey. And I definitely look forward to learning more about that one. I wanted to check it out the last few days in general, so I'm really happy I got to check it out. Anyway, I think that's everything I wanted to highlight. We're also running a little bit longer on our discussion here than we wanted to. I think we're gushing about these games a little much, which is a good sign always. But I mean, we had a bunch of other fun experiences at PAX. I mean, my husband bought an N64, so we've been all getting some Nintendo 64 games here. So it was an overall good time, but we'll have a little bit more on PAX East. I mean, we might have some other videos going up on it, and we'll probably do a little Twitter thread going over some other highlights from PAX, including a bunch of pictures that I took and some other games and booths that we got to check out that maybe we didn't get to make time for in here to avoid having an hour-long discussion. But I'll do like a little Twitter thread, and I'll link that down in the description below, so that way you guys can take a look at some other games that we felt are worth at least a little bit of your attention to, look through and see what they brought. But any closing thoughts from you, TJ, on PAX East 2022?
It's been a lot of fun, and it's definitely been a really nice change of pace to get out and actually see a bunch of games instead of trying to search for them yourself, because sometimes it's not always the easiest online. Too many things can kind of get clouded or flooded, or you just get caught up doom scrolling and you never find anything.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And sometimes with digital events, it becomes really quick to miss something. Alright, well, I think that'll wrap up this discussion on PAX East 2022. But if you guys like this video, then make sure to subscribe to GameXplain for plenty more on gaming in general, honestly, because I can't even say anything specific here. Indie games, Nintendo, these things are coming everywhere, and they're all great. I mentioned I'll link that Twitter thread down in the description below, and otherwise, until next time, farewell everyone.